Oh, how I have missed recording these episodes. Welcome back to the Bible Said What? Today we are diving into one of the most well-known stories in the Bible, the disobedience of Adam and Eve. It's a story that has been interpreted in countless ways, but let's break it down with fresh eyes and ask some tough questions that might not have been raised in Sunday school. By the way, there is a lot of construction happening outside. I cannot control the background noise, but hopefully my voice is loud and clear enough. Let's dive into it. The setup is simple. Yahweh forms Adam from dust, places him in the Garden of Eden, and gives him one rule: don't eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. I'm going to read from Genesis 2:15 to 17. The Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and take care of it. And the Lord God commanded the man, "You are free to eat from any tree in the garden, but you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for when you eat from it, you will certainly die." Now, at this point, we don't know that Yahweh is referring to a spiritual death of some sort, not an actual termination of life. So after Adam settles into the garden and names all the animals and consumes all the wild berries and mushrooms available to him, he starts to feel lonely, which is totally normal considering that Adam, unlike Jesus, is 100% human. There is not a drop of divine blood in that man. You get me? So Yahweh creates Eve because according to the Bible, no suitable helper, keyword helper, could be found for Adam in the garden because, Adam was only surrounded by animals and plants and trees, and the poor guy was probably bored out of his mind and incredibly lonely. But let's be clear on one thing. Eve was created to be Adam's companion. That was her role, identity, and purpose. So after Eve enters the scene, there is no record of Yahweh issuing the same warning he gave to Adam to Eve in the Christian Bible. There's no record of it in the Bible. There's a chance that Adam told Eve about the restrictions, the dietary restrictions imposed by Yahweh, but there is no record of it in the good book, so we can only make assumptions here. Now, in Yahweh's defense, and the few times I'm going to do this, defend Yahweh. In his defense, he gave Adam a straightforward command with a clear consequence. Yahweh tells Adam that if they eat from the tree, they will breathe their last human breath. But here's the catch. Death is the only consequence mentioned. And yet, when Adam and Eve eat the fruit, the punishment that follows is a lot more complicated than just dying. Why didn't Yahweh just tell them the full thing? Hey, not only will you die, whether it's a spiritual death or a physical death, but I'm also going to curse every single person in your bloodline. I'm going to place this curse that is going to affect men and women, or males and females, for generations and generations and generations. Now, even though Jesus supposedly came to fulfill the law, even though Jesus supposedly came to break the curse of sin and death, there are still Christians that believe that the reasons why women experience pain during childbirth is connected to the curse, right? So I've heard people say things like, oh, she didn't pray hard enough, or she didn't believe in God enough before she went to go have this baby, and that's why it was difficult. Not only is that just asinine, but it also contradicts this whole idea that Jesus came to break the curse. So is the curse still active? Are we still toiling the ground? Are we facing economic hardships because Adam fell for, the little scam by the serpent? Are women facing difficulties in childbirth because of Eve? Is this what we're supposed to believe? Is this what we're supposed to hold on to? And if yes, why didn't Yahweh, the all-knowing God, the God that sees all, El Roi, or El Roi, why didn't he inform Adam and Eve that, listen, brethren, if you go this far, this is what will happen to not just you, but generations that will come through your bloodline. And now let's talk about the disobedience itself. What exactly did Adam and Eve do that was so wrong? Eve was curious, and she was tempted by the serpent, who told her that eating the fruit would open their eyes and make them like Yahweh, knowing good and evil. I am definitely holding Eve accountable for dragging Adam into her mess. But that was her man, okay? She needed him to be the Clyde to her Bonnie, okay? I get it. The serpent, that crafty devil, presented them with the prospect of acquiring knowledge, something that humans naturally crave, and they took the bait. By the way, Yahweh was fully aware that Adam and Eve were going to munch that fruit. He knew. Okay? He knew they were feeling it. Okay? He knew it was a munch. Because he is the all-knowing God. Remember, that's his thing. And that's what separates him from the other gods. He's all-knowing. But were Adam and Eve fully informed? Did they understand the weight of their actions? Yahweh warned them about the prospect of losing their lives, but nothing about a curse. It's like being told not to push a button because it will give you a shock, only to find out it also triggers a chain reaction that destroys your whole house. Was the punishment really in proportion to the crime, Yahweh? Was it balanced? Was it fair? Because I say no. Okay, all right. So they eat the fruit, and what happens next? Yahweh comes down, figures out what they've done, and starts handing out curses like party packs. Let's dig into those curses because they have some pretty significant implications. First, the curse on Eve. Yahweh says, I will make your pains in childbearing very severe. With painful labor, you will give birth to children. Your desire will be for your husband, and he will rule over you. This isn't just a slap on the wrist. This is a curse that targets the very core of a woman's existence, her role in procreation and her relationship with her partner. It turns the act of bringing life into the world into a painful ordeal and establishes a power dynamic between men and women that has echoed through history. It's almost as if Yahweh is saying, oh, you wanted knowledge? Well, here's the harsh reality that comes with it. But why make pregnancy and childbirth so difficult? What purpose does that serve? Was it necessary to turn what should be a joyful experience for any woman into something filled with suffering? Again, I think that the punishment was too severe. I think that Yahweh was on a power trip. Because why target childbearing and make it a painful thing for both mother and child? Because I can't imagine if the woman is going through pain to bring the child out, the child is also not feeling some kind of pressure or pain or discomfort as he's coming or as she's coming out of the womb into the world. I don't think it was fair. I think the punishment did not fit the mistake. In some Pentecostal circles, and I don't mean all, some Christian mothers are encouraged to pray for safe and easy deliveries. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. I want women who want to be mothers to have safe pregnancies and births. But I know Christian mothers who were told that they had difficult births because they didn't pray hard enough. And not because pregnancy is literally one of the craziest things that women have to go through. The other crazy thing we have to deal with is the time of the month. A complete horror show for everyone involved. Now, wasn't the whole point of Jesus' death to break the curse Yahweh had placed on Adam and Eve's generation? If we are to believe that the reason why pregnancy is a difficult ordeal is because of a curse placed on Eve by a loving God, literally many centuries ago, does that mean that Jesus' death did not cover that part of the deal? Because the logic, no matter which way you look at it, makes no sense. If the reason why pregnancies and births are difficult and hard on women is linked to Eve eating the fruit, but Jesus came to break the curse of sin and death, why are we still having difficult pregnancies? Why do women still need to be extra careful and take care of themselves a bit differently when they're pregnant? Why are there women who are dying while giving birth? Why is pregnancy still something that can kill a woman? A woman can literally die while giving birth. So it's still this thing that modern science hasn't even all the way figured out, how to make easier on women. And there are people that believe that the reason this thing is happening is because God cursed Eve many centuries ago, and Eve is the reason why we're going through this, because she, was deceived by Satan. How dare she? Something isn't adding up. Something isn't adding up. Then there's the curse on Adam. Yahweh tells him that the ground is now cursed because of him, and that he'll have to toil and sweat to produce food. By the sweat of your brow you will eat your food until you return to the ground, since from it you are taken. For dust you are, and to dust you will return. This curse effectively makes just living on earth a struggle. What was once freely given in the Garden of Eden must now be wrestled from the earth through hard labor. But again, why? Why make it difficult for Adam to work? Why not just let him live with the knowledge he's gained, or, discipline him and just move things along? The curse almost feels vindictive, like Yahweh wanted to make sure that Adam's life would be as hard as possible from that point on. Was it about teaching a lesson? Or was it about something else? These curses seem to go beyond the original warning of death. They introduce suffering into the world in a way that feels almost gratuitous. Adam and Eve were disobedient, yes, but did their actions warrant such far-reaching consequences? It raises the question of whether the punishment fits the crime, or if the crime was more about challenging Yahweh's authority than about the actual act of eating the fruit. Because when you really look at it objectively and logically, the latter is not that bad. Okay, they ate a piece of fruit. Okay, their eyes were opened. Okay, they realized that they were butt naked in the garden. Okay, so they made some clothes out of fig leaves. Okay. But why curse them, Yahweh? Why curse them? And what about the long-term implications of the curse, or the curses on both Adam and Eve? The curses didn't just affect Adam and Eve. They affected all of humanity. Every person born after them is, according to the Bible, living under the shadow of the original sin. And you hear this concept of the original sin a lot in Pentecostal, evangelical, and charismatic circles. Basically, the whole concept of like Jesus being the second Adam and all of that. And, him coming again, just this whole theory about him coming to break the curse of sin and death that was introduced through Adam, but somehow not actually doing that because we're still suffering. And apparently, according to Christianity, there's still sin in the world. So what did Jesus come to do? I'm confused. But should an entire species be condemned to suffering because two people made a choice in a garden centuries ago? The curse has been used to justify everything from gender roles to the reason why there's pain and suffering in life and in the world. But should it be anymore? Because if someone is not a Christian and doesn't read the Bible and doesn't see the Bible as the book that guides their life, why would they believe that the reason why there's pain and suffering in the world is because of Adam and Eve, and not because they're broken people everywhere, and the actions of broken people end up affecting multiple people around them? The world isn't broken because of Adam and Eve and the curse. The world is broken because the world is full of broken people. These are the questions that linger in my mind when I deconstruct the story of Adam and Eve and really think critically about what they did and how they were punished for what they did. The story of Adam and Eve is about more than just a piece of fruit. It's about power, knowledge, and the consequences of challenging a divine authority. But when you really dig into it, you have to wonder, was the punishment truly justified? Or was it an overreaction that has left humanity carrying a burden that they didn't ask for? Well, thank you for listening to this episode. Until next time, keep questioning.